Joining us to discuss this is Petras Auštrevičius, Lithuanian politician. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning, everybody. Pleasure of mine.
So now let's start by examining the results of the first round of the presidential elections. The campaign itself, I feel like, was dominated by discussions around national security, particularly, of course, in the face of now threats coming from Russia. And I feel like candidates emphasize the commitments by standing up to these threats, which reflected anxieties of many Lithuanian voters. Now, turning to the results, how do you feel like they compare to the expectations? Was Gitanas Nausėda's performance in line with the predictions, or did he exceed it or fall short of the expectations? What do you think?
Well, in fact, yesterday we had indeed first round of presidential elections. I was convinced from very beginning that we will need 2 rounds because we had 8 candidates, competing candidates, rather different in their programs, approaches, and sometimes expressing their, main message. But indeed, with a very high turnout, around 60%, which is rather high for Lithuania. It was a beautiful day, once again, probably inviting people to come. In fact, many people have joined early vote, which we had on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday that week. So we had a rather good participation, which is a very positive thing, generally speaking. So the outcome is, as the current President Nausėda, as well as the current Prime Minister Ingrida Šimonytė, they are qualified for the second round. Nausėda with 44%, and Šimonytė is with around 20%. Well, quite a difference, I have to admit. But nevertheless, I mean, the rest 6 candidates received as well some substantial support, especially the third place candidate, Ignas Vėgėlė, who was so-called independent and was challenging the current political system as well as policy line. He didn't qualify, although he had very high expectations for this one. So the rest didn't show any major achievements in this regard. But 8 candidates, indeed, we had many debates in this regard. You're completely right. Security and foreign policy was one of the major dominating issues, on which, by the way, the 2 candidates which qualified for the second round didn't have much in disagreement. I would say we kept a very solid national approach line. Unlike some candidates which didn't qualify, they even questioned our support for Ukraine. At least one candidate who, was given some 7% of voters' support. So I'm looking forward for the next round, which will be rather interesting, very tense, because those 2 contenders are not first time meeting head to head. It was same in 2019. But anyway, I mean, it's good for national democracy and it's good for debate, generally speaking.
You mentioned a very interesting point, and I really want to stay with that for a moment. You mentioned that now both main contenders have very similar views when it comes to foreign policy and security policies. So do you think that will these 2 continue to play a prominent role, or will other issues come to a forefront as the campaign progresses?
Well, I mean, on these issues, there was an agreement, but views diverged and have been rather differently presented. For example, on the same-sex partnership, education reform, generally speaking, situation in the country, economic policies, and so on and so forth. Both of them, by the way, are economists, and you can imagine that to have 2 economists speaking about same issue, you usually have different views and different analyses. So that's why divergence was rather prevailing, but as you rightly said, on national security and foreign policy was a solid same opinion statement.
All right, and I just have one additional question, because this weekend, it wasn't only, people weren't only voting for their president, they were also voting in a referendum concerning dual citizenship in Lithuania.
Sure.
Can you tell us what that's about and what kind of dangers are there here?
Well, in fact, it was the second attempt by referenda to resolve this issue. By the Lithuanian constitution, it only takes a referenda, to amend certain articles in the constitution. So that's why we had to organize referenda, which didn't achieve the result, although some 57% of those who came to vote, had a choice to and made a choice to vote for referenda, but it was not enough. By the constitutional requirement, you need to have 50% plus one from all voters in the country voting for yes or no. So that's why it failed once again. Unfortunately, I voted in favor, and I believe that dual citizenship is something we have to have in Lithuania. So too many people leaving, coming, marriage, different situations. So we have to be more flexible in this regard. And to my mind, the formula proposed for referenda, as for example, by birth, you're given the right, for Lithuanian citizenship, plus those countries, friendly countries, citizenships as well, it can be compatible with the Lithuanian one. So that's why, unfortunately, we have to find another legal solution for this situation.
And hopefully the solutions will be found soon. Thank you so much, Petras Auštrevičius, for joining us, and thank you for your insights.